Hello everyone, this is Denise Saladay. Welcome to Feature Supportability Training for Clarity Release 16.3.2. The topic that I will be covering is reporting data providers. What is new in this release for data providers is we made some enhancements when users are building and using queries. The first thing we did is users can browse the Data Warehouse Schema whenever they're building their data provider queries. Next, queries that contain metrics will now honor decimal settings in view options whenever they are on the Preview tab in the data provider. And last, we just made a small change and moved the Validate button when you're validating queries in the data provider. You will need to be aware that data providers is still in beta with release 16.3.2. In my demonstration, I'll show you how you can browse the Data Warehouse Schema whenever you're building queries in your data provider. And next, we'll take a look at how decimal settings and view options are honored in the Preview tab whenever you're building queries using data provider metrics. And last, I'll show you the new position of the Validate button on the Query tab. So let's navigate to a data provider called IT Posted Transactions Across Investments, which has a data provider with a query. And if we navigate into the Queries tab, the query is called Posted Transactions. And we'll navigate to the Query tab, and you can see this new panel here called Data Warehouse Schema. So this panel will always display regardless of whether the data provider is in view mode or in edit mode. And here you'll be able to view the data warehouse objects. And if you expand the tables, you'll see a list of all the tables, and underneath that, when you expand that, you can see the columns within each table. The same for views. If you expand a view, you can see the columns that are in each view. And for functions, you can see the functions. It's important to note that the transactional schema is not available in this browsing window. And you also don't need to have any additional security rights to view the schema. You can close this window and reopen it again by clicking the Show Schema window. And there's no persistence on this. So every time that you come back here into this page, after you navigate out, it will always show you the panel by default. And the search criteria applies to all these objects. You can't specifically search on only tables, only views, or only functions. So for example, if I typed in investment, it works the same way as it does through the rest of the data provider whenever you're searching the objects in the Objects tab. And note that it will bring back the matches, in this case, that match investment. And if you have a table or a view that has that in its name, like this one here, DWHINB investment, because the table name matches, it'll bring back all of the attributes within that table. In the Posted Transactions query, I have a couple of metrics here, actual cost as well as unit cost in units. If we navigate back to the Preview tab for this data provider, Notice that I have my view options currently set at 0.00 for numbers to display, and that's what's showing here. Now if I changed that to not show any decimals, you can see that the three numeric columns now actually respect that setting. And the last thing that I wanted to show you is the new position of the validate button. You can see here that it's at the bottom of the screen. In last release it was up here on the right side of the screen. And this concludes the topic for reporting data providers. Thank you.